gameplay you're watching in this video is a visual comparison between Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, but the main purpose of this video is to share my thoughts on the Battlefield 5 beta so far. But do remember that this is a beta that we're seeing and what we're playing, and things will change probably over the life of the beta and before we go to full release in November. Now, also, remember that I am a big fan of Battlefield 1. I put over 500 hours into that game. I think that Battlefield 1 is the best Battlefield, better than Battlefield 4, and I think that Battlefield 1 was the best Respawn multiplayer game ever made. But things have changed in the last couple of years. We've had games like PUBG come out that have shifted our expectations of what a competitive multiplayer shooter should be, and also I think it's affected developers as well in what they put into these games that might not always be for the better. I was really looking forward to the Battlefield 5 beta as well, pre-ordered it, you know, the super duper deluxe version, kind of expecting Battlefield 1 but improved, but when we've been talking about it over the last few months, I was kind of pretty adamant that I didn't want a Battlefield 1 World War II DLC. You know, wanted something slightly different. I didn't know what, but I guess I was probably a little bit burnt out on Battlefield 1, having put so much time into it. And although it's a fantastic game, my favourite game, Respawn multiplayer game ever, it was still right. We've had that, you know, it's time for Battlefield 5. But I think I may well have been wrong with that point of view. So let's talk about the bad things in Battlefield 1 first, because you'd kind of expect them to be changed, shouldn't you, for Battlefield 5. So the things that I didn't like in Battlefield 1, and like that weren't great, were things like the loot crates were a bit meh, you know, the skins and stuff, but it was World War 1, so you'd expect everything to be a bit muted. Rush wasn't that great, it got nerfed, didn't it? We went down to, was it 12 players on each side? But we did have front lines instead, so that was cool. I know lots of people didn't like the random bullet deviation and the spread that you got with lots of the weapons, so when you were firing a gun, it didn't matter what you were pointed at, there would always be some randomness about where the bullets ended up. But I felt that that kind of fitted in with the jankiness of the auto and semi-automatic weapons of that era. I know people still thought that spotting was too strong. I mean, they toned it down from Battlefield 4, but I thought it was alright. I enjoyed the spotting. I thought it was good, you know, if you went behind cover, the spotting would disappear. It is true there was too much grenade spam, especially at the start of the game, and they kind of sorted it out as the game went on. And we had the big problem of splitting the player base with the DLC. If you didn't have the Season Pass, over time, you know, you would get these new maps through, and the whole player base couldn't play them. Now I know they are giving away the DLC, the entire Season Pass, next year, I think, next week for free, so that's cool, but it spoiled it as it went along. Party lobby matchmaking was always a bit janky, and the load times were terrible on Battlefield 1, and still are, you know, they're absolutely awful. It's a game-breaking experience for plenty of people. Now, on to the Battlefield 5 beta. First things first though, the game looks amazing and it sounds amazing. You can see in this comparison, putting these pictures, I think Battlefield 5 slightly has an edge on Battlefield 1 in certain situations, but they look very similar. Obviously they're running on the same engine and this is a PlayStation 4, so there's not going to be massive differences. The load times seem better than Battlefield 1, and you know, they seem okay. And the guns feel really good in Battlefield 5. There's a real weight behind them, just like the Battlefield 1 guns do, but because again they feel slightly more modern, they're slightly more accurate. They've removed the random bullet deviation, so where you fire is where the bullets are going to end up. You can feel pretty accurate as well. The era of World War II, fantastic, perfect. Tiger tanks, Spitfires in the air, V1 rockets going overhead, Sten guns, you know, superb. This is what we want. And they've binned the premium pass, so the player base will not be split as time goes on in the game. The core Battlefield gameplay is there. A solid conquest, playing the objective, you know, working together as teams for those Battlefield experiences. That's great, but these are the bad things from the Battlefield 5 beta that I don't like, okay? I don't like the Call of Duty-like weapon upgrades. They're a bit like perks, you know? So on each gun that you get, as you level up and as you get war bonds, you can buy faster aim-down sights, faster bullets, more accurate firing, you know, less horizontal recoil, that sort of stuff. You know, I don't like that. I really like the Battlefield 1. You get the gun, and that's it, you know. So people who straight away get the game, if they pick up a Cell Rigotti, It's the same as somebody who's been playing the game for 6 months who's got a cell rigotti. So I don't like that. I don't like the way, and linked to that is the way that we have the weapon customizations as well, where you've got to unlock and then open the different types of scopes. You know, the lens scope should be available straight away, either as an attachment I can put on, or as a separate gun that I can just have. You know, don't give me this unlocking lots of stuff. You know, I don't like that. And the appearance customization, I know that isn't really in the beta in terms of changing our soldiers, but we didn't really have it in Battlefield 1. And you know, let's give a bit of respect to the era. We don't really need to dress up in funny colours and have funny camo and all that stuff, do we? Now we're getting into the more meaty stuff now. When you're playing Conquest and when you're playing Grand Operations, and presumably the rest of the game as well, you're limited in terms of ammo and meds. And so scattered around the map you have these ammo dumps and health care, you know, medicine dumps as well. And that to me is a little bit done. You know, when you spawn in, and you spawn in at your say one of your home spawns where your flag spawns are, you've got to decide, you know, immediately you don't have enough ammunition or meds, so you've got to just run to one of these dumps, pick it up and then run off. And it's like, well, just give me the full load as soon as I go up. You know, it seems unnecessary. The fact that they've also removed now health regeneration, unless you're with your squad, means that if you've got a squad that isn't playing together, or you've got separated for them and you get injured, it doesn't matter. You know, what you used to be able to do is just hide somewhere, and then your health would come back and you could get back into the fight. You can't do that. You can use the med pack that you can pick up if you've got one, and that's it, which I think is a bad move. And the fact that everybody can revive as well. So if somebody's in your squad, they can revive you. You know, that's what medics are for. You know, I don't like the idea of anybody being able to do a revive. And the same with the building as well. The fact that everybody can get their trenching tool out and start building. It's kind of, especially that bit, that kind of slows the game down. And I think the idea is that you would, as a squad, you would take a flag, you'd take the B flag, you would then all get together and then you would reinforce that flag, you know, put the sandbags up, and then you would defend it. But that kind of ignores the fact that often you don't have enough time because people are still attacking that flag, or most people when they're playing Conquest, as soon as they capture a flag, they leg it to the next flag. They don't want to stand around building barriers. So, you know, I don't think everybody needs to be able to build stuff, and that means that now, because we can all heal ourselves with med packs, we can all do building, there's so many buttons in terms of the different things that you can do with your character, it's too complicated. Sound direction, now this might just be in the beta, but I find it difficult to figure out where shots and where people are coming from as accurately as I can in Battlefield 1. So far there's no behemoth in Battlefield 5, and I know you could argue, well, did the behemoths actually do anything in Battlefield 1? Did they really swing the tides of battles? Probably not, but they were incredibly cinematic, and it was a great experience to see when, like, the Zeppelin turned up, and then when it got shot down, or when the train blew up, or when the battleship would start hammering away. You know, there was really lots and lots of fun. The spawn time as well seems way too long. When you die in Battlefield 5, and then you press the button to trigger, you know, a fast spawn, it seems like you're waiting forever before you can spawn in again. Or if you choose to follow a squad member and spawn in on them, you know, you're waiting. They come under fire, and then finally you can spawn in. And that can, again, that's reducing the fun. The time to kill with the assault rifles is too high. It seems like you die super quick. But now these next things, these are the three most important things that I think they've got wrong with the Battlefield 5 beta, that hopefully they will change in time for the full release. First one, kill cam. When you get shot, you don't see who killed you or where they are. This is like Battlefield 2 and 3 used to be like this, didn't they? Because the problem with that is that if a sniper who's camping somewhere, or, you know, up in a building somewhere, like hidden away, or it's someone who's in the corner of a room and they shoot you, you don't know where they are, so you run back to that flag and they can do exactly the same thing again and again and again, and it encourages camping, defensive, not fun gameplay. So that's crap. The lack of ammo is ridiculous. The fact that you spawn in with like 62 bullets is crazy. You know, the fun thing about multiplayer competitive shooters is shooting at people, and if you're restricting people straight away with a lack of ammo, you know, that's no good. And finally, the spotting mechanic has been decimated in Battlefield 5, and spotting, for me, is a key part of Battlefield. You need it in medium to long range multiplayer games, because you just can't see other players on the map. There's too much other things going on, explosions, smoke, all this other stuff, that if one of your squad spots somebody, they should be able to spot them. In real life, you would shout at them and go, "Yep, there's a guy over by those sheds, 100 meters away," and you would see them, because eyes work better in real life. But this is on a computer monitor or a TV screen, you can't, and that's why spotting helps and it works. And so bring it back. Because there's too many times where you don't know where you're meant to be firing at, or where you're getting firing from, and you can't do the old. You see someone, you say you're in a difficult situation, you come across a whole squad. What you used to be able to do in Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, you could quickly spot one or two of them, and you're going to die. But it means your squad mates then can come in and clean up. Now, I'll say it again, this is a beta, it's an earlier build of the game than we will be getting at final, and there's still plenty of time for this stuff to change. But because of what I said, I'm not as excited to play the beta as I should be. I put 50 hours into the Battlefield 1 beta. So hopefully we will see balance changes. But in my opinion, if Battlefield 5 is to be the success that Battlefield 1 was, DICE do need to change these things. They need to bring back that kill cam so you can see who killed you and where they are. You need to spawn in everybody with more ammunition. It's nuts that you just come in with just a few rounds, and whoever thought that idea should be fired, and whoever thought of the idea of basically taking spotting out of Battlefield should be fired as well. Now there's a long way to go. I'm going to put more time into the Battlefield 5 beta, and I will probably start to enjoy it more as well. But for me, Battlefield 5 simply isn't as fun to play as Battlefield 1, and DICE need to do plenty of work to save it. So anyway, that's enough from me. Put your ideas down below. What do you think about the beta? And I will see you again soon.